There was something that Hood Conservative brought up. I think it was like 2 of his lives ago. That sounds weird. 2 of his live broadcasts ago. And it was just this way that he was going off about when he was in a Twitter space, or I don't think it was a Facebook debate, but I think it was a Twitter space, and there was a black woman in this forum, and that this or that, people were familiar with it enough. He was referring to at some period something she had said, that it was just like, this was just so. This was why do they get in these spaces? And that finally he said that finally, I guess, he's like, what is this woman doing here in this space talking about men's stuff? And I guess it hit home, but and she was ejected or something like that. But this was something that actually I had to think about a little, because something came up where Larry Elder is on Charlemagne the God show, and it was the way that this woman who's on it chimes in. She always chimes in along these lines, and to the point that it's like I was sitting there going, oh no, now I remember what the deal is with this show, and so she chimes in, and what I found fascinating is this thing of how it was almost it was kind of brilliant. It had this exemplary aspect. The face is already scowling. There's contempt written all over it. The quasi-unprofessional look, the work casual kind of thing going on. A tone that fundamentally already betrayed sort of, she was looking down on his point of view. But then on top of it, it begins with this whole thing of putting aside all of the relevant arguments that actually showed why such policies by Johnson were bad. Who was Johnson white? Fundamentally was the question. Was Johnson white? That's really what it came down to. And it was as sad as hell that that's and then she's like, left with a, thank you. So it was really like, if you could almost draw this, like, this is like this sort of character that appears in a video game and just kind of throws like a few dud bombs, like not really powerful bombs, and then snaps their fingers, wrings their neck, and then is out. And that you're not allowed to shoot it down. Like this is an impervious, you can't shoot this person down. And what it was is that because of the platform, you see there's a rating on the game. It's Charlemagne the God's platform, so there's a rating on the game, and you can't shoot this character down because Elder had an opportunity to. He basically says, well, you volunteer to take welfare, voluntarily, and he didn't even say it. He goes, people voluntarily enrolled in these programs. He used the perfectly exacting language, because what it was is that fundamentally it was like, it comes down to, did black women take the deal? And that's what, in something like Hood Conservative circle, we would say something like that. Well, black women took the deal, so that's why it's like this. That's the whole thing. That's it. And I mean that it was voluntary. Nobody forced anyone to go on welfare. So, like, I remember actually this was something that my mother had brought up about Grandpa, and that he refused such a handout. He couldn't do it. He was like, no, we're, and it was really like very normal people from a very normal place in Mississippi who would move to Chicago, and he's like, no, we don't take, our family does not take handouts, And that was his mentality about it, and that was a widespread mentality. Like, that was really widespread. Like, when you know about the times and what people, various sentiments of various political figures and religious figures, that was a widespread sentiment, that the welfare state fundamentally, like, and that it was associated by various ministers, with Marxism, and correctly so. So that's why there's a whole lot of, there's a whole lot more going on there than I'm sure some conservatives, people who are really specialists on this end of the history, could chime in with, and probably changes of people in various groups of Baptists and this, that, and the other, that slowly they started changing their mind about the welfare state and Johnson's welfare state within the church. But it was associated with Marxism by a lot of black Christians, by a lot, and was also considered not black power by a lot of sort of the kind of even the music scene of that day, and you could hear it in the music. So all of this could have been brought up. A real discussion about Black American history, Black American culture, the welfare state. It's the ethics of it, the right or wrongs of it. The what it might have been, what it could be, maybe what it should be. But instead, we get this woman doing that's what I thought. Was Lyndon B. Johnson white? That's what I thought. And it's just, I'm just like sitting there, and I'm like, why is this becoming more and more often this kind of thing? That it's like something that you have to associate with. I mean, like, you can almost sit there in your mind and be like, okay, if I thought of a stereotypical outcome to this, where this conversation is going to go, it's going to go something like this. And then that happens. And I'm like, how did that happen? Like, why would why would this person on the show, who's supposed to be being taken seriously, why would they have rolled up on it in this manner? And it was that moment of, oh no, I'm going to totally, I remember this show, but I'll give this person the benefit of a doubt. I mean, maybe because then there's all the tangential questions that you would think just in self-interest. Black single moms have a variety of tangential issues, that earning power, just raw earning power, because of the amount of time you have to spend with rearing children and this, that. Then the stress level, cortisol level, the various illnesses that relate to cortisol, various body conditions that relate to high cortisol, the inability to have kind of a sense of leisure time, so that actual exercise, some kind of, say, some form of physical culture, like, I mean, and I really even mean like dance class, like things like that. Not going out and dancing, but actually something that is cultural, that you always do, that you meet with a bunch of people. This allows you to discuss what's going on. It's like, and like the women do the dancing, like, and this is something that exists. It doesn't seem to have congealed into something so middle class and black that it moves downward permanently and stays there. So there's all these various things that could have been brought up, but instead, what this woman did was snap her fingers, wring her neck, and then say, that's what I thought. So it was like, I just was sitting back like, God damn it. How, Charlemagne, how do you allow this woman to do things like this? And what it was is that it really was that all Elder had to do was to say, yeah, it's black women's fault. They decided to volunteer for welfare. They took the apple. Boom. And then, Ki, watch her wring her neck until the steam comes out, it's shaking, red veins, steam coming out the nose, like burning all the fake dreads, like the dreads start burning like moxa, and so it was just really like, it was just so thoroughly disappointing, and especially with this entire thing of why are people like this not remembering Goody Mob cell therapy? Goody Mob cell therapy comes from the point of view of kind of a conspiracy theorist, but I mean solidly with the idea that welfare was sort of an experiment on people. This was widely thought in the early hip-hop days that welfare was bad for you and was secretly an experiment on people. I don't understand how suddenly it's like, oh, you need to like back your hose up, just, and especially what this keeps ending up is that as there is absolutely nothing that women who are black could have done about anything at any time, anywhere, but yet usually within a sentence or two, the next part of it is them big-upping their sisters on taking over and being themselves in their space with their bodies or something goofy like that. And then bragging about, what obviously would have to be relatively conservative black women because of their performance level. The disciplined life of somebody like that is rather conservative. So it's but that's not who's really they're talking about on these shows. That's not the audience. That's solidly not the audience. And so I just it's frustrating, but it's also like how exemplary that interview was. And that Larry Elder was just so good at coming up to that very point, but he's him, and he's just simply not a rude man who would say something like that. He's not flippant in that way, and I like that he was so good at playing her into doing that, into showing her flippancy and rudeness and obtuseness. Whoa, that's the wrong way. Holy shit, I just realized, like, holy crap, this person totally just went the wrong way. That's been happening a lot lately. I think there's some people moving here who aren't getting which street goes north and which street goes south and stuff like that. But all right, later.